Alright, so it's been about a week since I've last uploaded, and honestly, the entire month of August, I've been slacking. So I do apologize to that, all of you who've been asking for videos, that's on me. I had a super big month of July, grinded a lot more than I ever had, and I kind of took this month off, I'm not gonna lie. Now, while the month isn't over, I'm finally ready to get back into the groove of making videos, giving you guys the baseball content that you want, because you subscribe for a reason, you want to see some videos, and that's what I'm gonna do for you. Now, today, I didn't have the chance to go ahead and make one of my big videos talking about a lot of different players or a lot of different teams, but instead I thought I would take this time to talk about the amazing playoff races that we have in baseball right now. We've got some close races in the American League with the wild card in the Central. We've got some really good races in the National League Central, along with the National League East a little bit, and then the wild card is just a complete up for grabs. So that's pretty much what I'm going to talk about in today's video. I'm going to talk about the playoff race, what's going down in what's pretty much the last 30 games of the season, what you should look for, what to expect, who I think has the best chances. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, you know what to do. Make sure to leave a like on it. That's the best way to show your support. Subscribe if you're new and you enjoy the content. If you love baseball, this is the place to be. Make sure to hit that sub button. We're coming back with videos every day. Get in that comment section down below. Let me know what you think about the playoff races, your predictions, who's going to make the playoffs. I'd love to see what you have to say. Be a part of the conversation. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. I'm going to be going to a ton of baseball games over the next month. So if you want to see that kind of content and catch up with me there, that's a good way to do it. So the 2019 Major League Baseball season has been a very exciting one. We know the up and downs. We know the big storyline of the year, which has been the year of the home runs. Clearly something's changing with the balls. We're hitting way more home runs than we ever have. And honestly, I'm not completely against it. And because of that, we're seeing some of the more interesting games being played in Major League Baseball that we've seen in a long time. So let's start off in the American League, where the divisions, they're not necessarily as close as you would have hoped, but there are still some very good playoff races going around and stuff to talk about. American League East, it's very simple. It's the Yankees division to lose. They have 11.5 game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. I can't see them relinquishing that at any point this year. The Yankees are clearly a very good team. Starting pitching, very weak. Although I don't think they have bad players, they're just not pitching well. The bullpen is absolutely amazing, we know that, and their lineup is fantastic 1 through 9, and that's without Aaron Judge really being at the top of his game. That's without Giancarlo Stanton. That's with having guys on the injured list. They've done a really good job with the players they've picked up. Yankees, they're not going anywhere. They're clearly one of the best teams in baseball. They're winning the American League East. And then you have the Rays and the Red Sox, which are technically still in it. I don't expect the Rays or Boston Red Sox to make a push for the East, but the wild card, that's a different story, and we'll talk about that in a bit. American League Central, that's really the only division race in the American League that's somewhat close, that's within grasping distance right now. The Twins are in first place. They've pretty much been in first place for the majority of the season. They've been playing really good baseball, exceeding expectations by most people around the league. And then you have the Indians in second place, followed by the White Sox, the Royals, the Tigers. They're not doing anything. Don't even get me started on how bad the Tigers are. It is by no means over just yet. Like I said, 3.5 games separate the Twins and the Indians, and they have 6 games against each other the rest of the season. I personally think the Indians are built a little bit better to do more over a long period of time. I think they have better pitching. I think they have a better bullpen. Their lineup may not be as good as the Twins, but I'm a guy who likes to build from the pitching up. I don't think the Indians will win the AL Central. I think they probably make it as a wild card, which again, we'll talk about in a little bit, because I think the Twins are a very solid team, and their schedule down the stretch is really, really easy. They've got 6 or 7 games against the Tigers, 3 against the White Sox, 7 against the Royals. So pretty much for the last 30 games of the year, over half of those are against teams that they should really wipe the floor with. The Twins definitely have an easy schedule going down the road. Whereas for the Indians, it's a little bit more difficult, but still really not crazy. They have the Twins, they have the Phillies, they have the Nationals, they have the Rays. But then you got the Angels thrown in there, the Tigers, the White Sox, so it's kind of split 50-50. But if I had to pick, I'm going with the Twins right now still. And then the American League West, you got the Astros in first place, followed by the A's, and everyone else is pretty much out of there. The Rangers came back down to earth. Same thing with the Angels. They're not doing anything. The A's are currently 10 back with, like I said, about 30 games left in the season. I don't see them jumping the Houston Astros. The Astros are just way too good of a team. They're built extremely strong. They're one of the top teams in baseball. I know the Yankees have a better record, but I still go Dodgers and Astros 1-2. Incredible lineup, great starting pitching, fantastic bullpen. That's a team that's super dangerous. Everybody knows it. It's not like I'm saying anything bold. They're not giving up a 10-game lead to the A's. And that's nothing against the A's. They're actually playing really good baseball. They're playing very solid. Everyone doubts them every year, and what do? They come out and they play really good baseball for the entire year. They play great defense. They play smart baseball. They don't make mistakes. That's how you win games. They play clean baseball. And that's why they're involved in the wild card race, which is not as crazy as the National League, but regardless, the American League wild card race is still very close and still something you should keep an eye out with a month left in the season. There's a good amount of teams involved. Right now, you've got the Indians in the top spot. They've got a 2-game lead over the A's, who are the second wild card spot. You've then got the Rays, who are a game back, and the Red Sox, who are 5 back. Now, the current way it is kind of how I expected to end the season. I expect the Indians and the A's to be the 1 and 2 wild card spot. Not necessarily sure if the Indians will get the home field game or if it'll be the A's, but I expect those two teams to be there. The Rays, I'm just a doubter of them. I know that they've been having great pitching all year. I know they love doing the bullpenning thing, but I just don't know if it's available to do it again for another full season. I don't have as much faith in them as I do the A's or the the Indians. It's nothing against the Rays, it's just I don't see that team being as dangerous. And a team I think you need to watch out for because they're starting to get a little bit hot, 7-3 in their last 10, is the Boston Red Sox. Now, the reason I say you need to watch out for them is because when you take a look at their schedule the rest of the season, they have one of the more favorable ones. The Red Sox get to play two teams they're essentially competing for like that wild card spot with. Now, I say the Twins because they're only 3 games up on the Indians, so if they lose some, they become a wild card team contender as well. Red Sox have 3 against them at home, and then they also have 4 away in Tampa, which can be huge for wild card implications. In between there, they play the Yankees, who's really only their tough opponent. They got the Angels, the Blue Jays, the Phillies, Giants, Rangers, and Orioles. Those are a lot of winnable games here. If the Red Sox can win like 23 of their last 30, be careful, they might sneak into the playoffs, although it's going to be tough. That pitching is definitely not good. But if I was a betting man, I'd probably keep the things the way they are in the American League wildcard. I think you're going to see the Indians and the A's. Now we head on over to the National League, where the National League has a little bit more storylines, a little more interesting. Now, you talk about the National League West, let's get that out of the way. It's the Dodgers, no one's even close. The Diamondbacks are in second place, which, by the way, fantastic year by Arizona, and nobody expected them that. I think I had them finishing close to last place in my predictions, but they're 20 games back in second place. So the West, there's nothing interesting to talk about there with the division. It's the Dodgers, and that's all you got to say. Well, I guess then the Giants are 2 games under 500, which, yeah. Remember that video I made where everyone called me dumb because I said the Giants shouldn't be buyers, that they should sell because they're not going to make the playoffs, they're pretenders? Yeah, a point for me. I'll take that one because I was right. But let's get away from the National League West. Let's go to my division, the National League East. Of course, New York Mets fan. You got the Braves in first place. They look dominant. They look really, really good, and that's with a lot of players being on the injured list right now. They've made some really good pickups on the free agent market along with the waivers. They got Keuchel a while back. He's been great for them. They added some bullpen arms in the trade deadline, which you gotta like. Even though Green and Melanson and Martin were off to a bit of a shaky start, they've started to figure it out now. They just play really good baseball, fundamentally sound. They do all the little things along with hitting the long ball, along with pitching well. They're a very solid team. I don't think they give up the National League East crown. I think they win it still, but the Nationals are only 5.5 back, and if their bullpen can just be decent, because it's so terrible, they're a dangerous team to watch out for. That starting pitching is lethal, and they have one of the better lineups in the National League, I think, from a complete lineup standpoint. So something to keep an eye out is that kind of competition right there. Not to mention the Nationals play the Braves 7 times in the final month of the season. So a lot can change here. I mean, think about it. Let's just get crazy. The Nationals sweep the Braves right there. They go 2 up on them just from that series. The Braves start to play bad baseball. The Nationals get hot. It's not over yet. That's all I'm saying, but I think it is the Braves division to lose. Mets, Phillies competing for 3rd place right now. It's going to be the Mets, Phillies, our 4th place team. Then you have the National League Central, which is easily the closest race in all of baseball for a division. Cardinals are in 1st place, up 2 games over the Cubs, followed by the Brewers, who are 5.5 back. Cubs are obviously a very good team. I personally don't think that they jumped the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals pretty much are going to win the National League Central. If I was a betting man, again, that's who I'd put my lock on, is the Cardinals to win the Central there. I have no faith in the Brewers to win the division. I'm sorry, Brewers fans. I feel like I'm hating on you all the time. I don't hate you. It's just I don't like how your team's constructed. The pitching has gone just completely in the toilet. You, yet again, forgot to go out and get an ace at the deadline, or at least get a top-line starter. You got Jordan Lyles, and you got, Drew Pomeranz? I mean, those aren't guys you want. And you've put a lot of pressure on Josh Hader in the bullpen, and it's definitely come back to hurt him a little bit. He's not pitching the same. So I think for the Central, the Brewers are out. It's pretty much between the Cubs and the Cardinals. Cubs are super solid, but I just think the Cardinals are a little bit better. Cubs bullpen's very shaky. This all leads us now to the race that's really important, not only to me, but to a lot of different teams in the National League, the wild card. You've got the Nationals holding the number 1 spot. They have a 3-game lead over the Cubs, who are in number 2, followed up by the Phillies, who are 2 games back, then the Brewers, who are 3.5 back, and the Mets, who are 4, along with the Diamondbacks, who are 4.5. I think Washington is going to be a lock to make the playoffs. I would be shocked if they don't make one of the wild cards. That would really surprise the heck out of me. 1 or 2 spot, I think they're pretty much going to be the one. Like I said, I think they're competing for the National League East division as well, but I think they got the one on lock, so I'm not really going to go too much in depth to them. So it's really down between, in my personal opinion, the Cubs, the Phillies, the Brewers, the Mets, and the Diamondbacks. I don't necessarily want to include the Diamondbacks in here because I don't think they're a playoff team, but it would be foolish of me not to. They're only a half a game behind the Mets, so if I'm going to include the Mets, I have to include the Diamondbacks. Giants, I'm not including it. You ain't making the playoffs. In the 27 games that the Brewers play in September, 17 of those comes against teams under 500. They also still have 7 games left against the Cubs and 3 games left against the Cardinals. So all these games are going to be pretty much high leverage situations, and you have 17 of them against teams that are not very good in baseball this year. They have probably one of the more forgiving schedules in the final month. The Diamondbacks probably also have a little bit of an easier schedule as well. 4-game series against the Dodgers coming up. They play in New York against the Mets for 4, and then they have 3 against the Cardinals, but then after that, again, not great teams. Padres, Reds, Marlins. If they can play good baseball, they can play themselves into a playoff spot. And then you've got the middle ground, which I like to call the Mets and the Cubs schedule. We already kind of went over the Cubs schedule in this video. It's middle of the road. It's pretty tough. They have some easy games. They have some tough ones. The Mets are kind of in that same boat here. It's going to be tough, though. They need to be pitching well. The bullpen needs to be clicking on all cylinders. 1 through 9, they need to be swinging the bats. You can't have Alonso, Conforto, McNeil carrying the team. It's going to be very tough. You got to believe. You guys know I'm a Mets fan. I'm sticking with it. I hope they make the playoffs, but it's definitely going to be very tough. And then the hardest schedule down the stretch, in my personal opinion, is going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies. They have a lot of very important games to play. And for a team who has very weak pitching right now, the starting rotation besides Aaron Nola has been a bit weak, a bit sketchy, and the bullpen is definitely dwindled down. Injuries have hurt the Phillies a lot this year. They have a tough schedule. In the final month of the season, they play 2 series against teams under 500. 4 games against the Reds, 3 against the Marlins to end the year. They then have the Mets for a couple games. They have the Braves for 7 games. They have the Nationals for 5 games. They have the Indians for 3, Red Sox for 2, and a lot of the month is spent on the road. It's going to be really, really tough for them to make that push. They're going to have to really step up and show the team that a lot of people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. They have to play playoff caliber baseball. They need to get big pitching from their guys. So my personal opinion, it's probably going to stay with the Washington Nationals and Cubs, but as a realistic person, because I've been biased sometimes, it's probably going to stay where it's at, but it's going to be such great baseball to watch down the stretch. If you don't have MLB TV, or if you're not watching games on your TV for baseball, you need to start watching right now. It's going to be playoff atmosphere for the rest of the month. You should be going to games. I know I'm going to be at a ton of Mets home games the rest of the month, because what else do I have to do? I make my videos, go to games, make videos on that. You guys get good content. That's something you should be keeping an eye out for me, is going to the games. I'm just crazy excited for the end of the season. This is what I wanted. I just wanted good baseball that meant something. And hopefully the Mets don't fall apart too bad. We keep winning some games, stay in that race. I would love to know what you guys think about the playoff race coming up this year in the American League and the National League. Down in the comment section below, give me your predictions as to who you think is going to make it. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. That's the best way to support the channel, as well as subscribe. And if you ain't subscribed yet, click that red sub button, join the team. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at GiraffeNeckMarc. Links are in the description. That's the best way to keep in touch with me. I'm always talking baseball and posting about stuff over there. And that's honestly going to wrap up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're getting back on the grind. I know I've said that probably 2 or 3 times this month, but it is truly happening. There's no reason now for me to not be uploading videos on a daily basis again. So thank you all so much for watching. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video, as well as this is my most recent upload. So click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.